This is Fred Beck from Fred Dogs Fighting. Today I'm very lucky to be joined by, in person, in a very cold Peacock gym, by Francis Rowan. How have you been, Francis?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm alright. I bet you're very happy with that scarf right now, though.
I'm delighted I brought it, absolutely, yeah. I think I've got a few green eyes looking at me.
So how come the heating doesn't work in this gym, then?
You better ask Martin. I don't know what's going on. We're the old Peacock, aren't we? So I think it's not used as much as it was before.
Yeah, I know. I'll have to speak to Martin after this. But what's kind of day in the life for you, Francis? What have you been up to recently?
What I've been up to recently? We're just keeping busy. We've obviously got a very big show on Saturday with the rematch of Yarde and Arthur. And, it's just a day-to-day running of careers and making fights and making sure that all is in order to make sure that we keep putting on great shows.
And I just overheard you talking to Raza from RFL there, and you kind of all the hotels you're staying in there, and kind of stay fit. Have you been trying to stay fit recently, stay in shape?
I do my best, my friend. I do my best. Lots of weights at the moment, and just keep trying to keep that cardio going as well.
Okay, so you're kind of running around the hotels then when you're travelling the whole time?
That's the one, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's all right then. And when you're kind of I know you kind of manage Louis Lin. We'll use Louis as an example, right? When you're managing a fighter, how do you know when to build them, which opponent to pick, which opponent to falls out, if that opponent isn't good enough? How do you kind of manage a fighter?
Well, it's all very much down to the individual fighter, and you've got to obviously use your experience to recognise the points at which a fighter needs stepping up or needs to work on a certain attribute. The first year, your foundation year of a fighter's career is pretty straightforward, to be honest. It's the 4 or 5 fights that you want to cover all bases. You want to call orthodox, southpaw, someone who's going to come and have a fight with your guy, someone who your guy has to go and chase around the ring, and you usually try and work on the 5th fight, which is the trickiest of those 4. You want to try and do it again and make sure that you iron out any issues in your foundation year as quickly as possible. I like to try and get fights 6, 7 or 8, to have a bit of a war. You mentioned Louis Lin there, had a real tough fight with Amin Jahanzib a few months back, and also with Perez back in March. But I think you know when a fighter needs that step up and that challenge. That's very rings very true for Sam Noakes this weekend. Fighting his first title fight, fight number 8. Sam's knocked 7 out of 7 out. And I just felt like he needed to, a bit of a step up, a title to aim for against a fellow Brit who's also got a very good record and has ambitions of his own. He's not just turning up. And it can also become quite a frustration for someone like Louis, for Sam, if you've got that great knockout ratio coming through, which is 100% for Sam. Guys tend to get on the back foot and run away. Not run away, they back off. Yeah, So it's all about making sure that you're picking the right fights to make sure your guy has the best opportunity to showcase their skills as highly as possible. Same thing with George Fox this weekend, fighting Kamel Sokolowski. It's a tough fight. We saw that Sokolowski brought it against David Adelaide. He's gone the distance with Nathan Gorman. So it's a good benchmark for George to see where he's at in his career after only 4 fights as well. So huge credit to George for stepping up. But in terms, in answer to the question, every fighter's different. So you've got to sit down, you've got to analyse their attributes and select the correct opponent to make sure that their attributes are showcased as best as possible.
Oh, okay. That's quite interesting in a way. I can see what you mean about how you don't want to fight a negative kind of style. You don't want them running away. You want to fight a coming forward. So you don't really want a journeyman kind of knowing how to tie them up. Because that's why Sam has maybe got those knockouts, because he fought decent fighters which are going to come forward and try and win. And just talk to me about the fight this weekend. I know you've probably got a lot of other interviews to take care of. So
all the time's yours, my friend. Just one step. Just put this team. No rush. Go for it.
So talk to me about the fight this weekend, Lyndon Arthur and Anthony Yarde. A lot of people were saying that a rematch wasn't necessary. So why was a rematch necessary? Because
it was contracted, and that's as simple as that. Really, it was a fight that both guys agreed to do a rematch with, and that's it. That's why it's happening again. I think and the proof's in the pudding. We've got a great crowd coming Saturday. There's around about 6,000 there on Saturday. It'd be a stacked out copper box. We've got great undercard fights, and I'm looking forward to sitting there at ringside. And if you can't be there, make sure you're tuning into BT Sport.
Okay, free sums it up really. I mean, a lot of people on Twitter are always saying, "Oh, why is it happening again?" And then, "Oh, contract's a contract." And just speaking about kind of Anthony Yarde's last fight, obviously he got a quick knockout. How much do you think he's come on since the first Arthur fight?
We'll see on Saturday. I think that's probably more of a question for his training team and Tunde and James Cook, and and all the guys down at the gym. So it's not just about how much Anthony's come on; it's about how much Lyndon's come on as well. So we've got two guys with huge ambition. There's a number one spot in the world and the WBO rankings up for grabs, and it's one of those rematches. Can quite often not be as exciting as the first fight. Sometimes they can be a bit of a letdown. I think this is going to be the opposite. The last one was obviously behind closed doors at Church House during lockdown. It's a year ago. I think it's a year ago to the day, or maybe one day out. So it's. I think it's got everything for it was something that we obviously wanted to get over the line. It took a bit of time. Both guys have had a fight in between, which I think was quite important, and. It's going to be a good night. Both coming off stoppage wins as well, so they both want to keep that ball rolling. So I fancy a very, very good competitive fight.
You're right about the fans there. I mean, when you got fans there in attendance, I know you could probably hear. I mean, Sonny Edwards was there. I mean, you could hear. You heard Sonny?
Sonny, yeah, definitely.
I mean, fans just make such a big impact. And how come the fight's not in Manchester and down here in London?
Because of venue availability, and it's again, as with the contracts, it's as simple as that. It's as simple as that.
Okay, that's fair enough then. And just one last fight I want to get your thoughts on. Will you be going down for Jake Paul, Tommy Fury in the US?
I will not be. I'm not going over, no. But I know my dad's going over, and he's very much looking forward to it. It's going to be an intriguing one, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly will be interesting. Are you disappointed you're not going over to the US? A nice little break there.
It's always good to travel. Always good to go and support you guys and make sure that everything's in order. But you can't do them all. Can't do every trip.
As I can imagine. And when you kind of travel to these places, do you ever get a look around at the city or anything, or is it just work? Do you ever get like a day off?
Always try and take in a bit of the local culture, and certainly places, unusual places like you go to Kiev and Moscow, and very fortunate to go to a place like Helsinki, and it's a very, very lucky, very, very fortunate position to be doing this for a living, because you do get to see the world and also do something in working in the sport that you love.
What's the most favourite place you've been to then? What's some of your favourites then you've been to?
What's my favourite? I love Moscow. I think it's a fabulous place, and I think I'd have to say Moscow.
It's pretty cold over there though.
That's what's so good about it. It's one of those like icy blast chills. It's a beautiful place. Great architecture. Great food. Great. And the ice cold vodka's not too bad either.
I'm not sure. I should get a few more shows going in Moscow. I've had a word with Frank. But Francis, thanks so much for your time. It's been a pleasure, mate. Thank you.
See you, mate. Thank you very much.